So let's go ahead and get started with your New Mexico Dealer Continuing Education course. And I always want to give you some updated contact information for the Dealer License Bureau. And obviously, they're located downtown Albuquerque. You know, if you ever have a chance, if you are in the downtown area, you can easily pop in and visit them. If you have specific questions, they're very helpful. I've been in the office several times. I know you can certainly give them a call, but they are so professional, so friendly. And if you are downtown, you can just go up to the 15th floor of the Motor Vehicle Division building. That's that great big white square building right there downtown on Marquette. Go up to the 15th floor and you can go in and chat with them. If you have questions, they'll answer them. There's some forms on the wall there if you need them. You might have to ring a bell to get one of them to come to the window to greet you, but they're friendly, informative, or you can certainly give them a call. So let me give you that contact information. They are located at 505 Marquette Northwest. That's going to be 1501, Suite 1501, Albuquerque, 87102. And their phone number is 505-383-2316. We're going to cover several units. And in the first unit, we're going to cover some industry trends. I think an important component in the successful operation of any New Mexico dealership is to know where things in our industry are actually going. So in Unit 1, we're going to discuss industry trends. Then we're going to jump right into law revisions, and I want to show you the latest laws out of Santa Fe. And then I also want to show you how to renew your dealer's license. First, let's go ahead and delve right into current dealership trends, which obviously change year by year. Several automotive industry trends are really impacting the future of any operation of any New Mexican dealership. And these trends evolve how vehicles are powered, driven, shopped for, and how you as a licensed motor vehicle dealer can acquire them for resale. So here are some of the trends that we have going on right now that definitely have an effect on our industry in the very near future. First of all, electric vehicle resale market expansion. The electric vehicle resale market is rapidly gaining traction, and early adopters in EVs are now trading in their first generation electric vehicles. And this surge really presents opportunities and challenges for used motor vehicle dealers. As a dealer, you're going to have to educate yourself on EV battery health. You'll also need to be an expert on depreciation rates and evolving consumer concerns around range and charging infrastructure as well. As more electric vehicles are entering the used market, dealers who adapt early and maybe, offering things such as electric vehicle programs, maybe some in-house battery diagnostics, EV-friendly warranties, you can really gain a competitive edge in this dramatically and vastly growing segment. That's the EV resale market. It's exploding right now. I also want you to be aware of AI-driven pricing and inventory management. So artificial intelligence is really revolutionizing how used motor vehicle dealers price vehicles and also manage your inventory. There are predictive analytics tools that actually allow you as a licensed dealer to adjust pricing dynamically based on market demand, regional trends, and the vehicle's condition. So artificial intelligence can really help you identify which vehicles are going to sell the fastest. It's going to allow you to optimize purchase time and reduce time on the lot. I'm a big believer that any dealer who's implementing AI-driven platforms are seeing reduced overhead, higher profit margins, and you're going to be better aligned with consumer demand. That's something we definitely need to be aware of. Any licensed motor vehicle dealer needs to be aware of this, and I'm sure that you're already aware of this, but online first shopping behavior. Consumer behavior continues to shift online, with most of our buyers conducting most of their research and comparison and even getting their finance approved digitally before they ever visit your lot, if they visit your lot at all. So I'm a big believer that all dealers must prioritize your digital presence, your virtual showroom, and create a seamless e-commerce tool. So with transparent pricing, detailed photos, videos, walkarounds, and online chat, they're not just optional, they are really essential for closing deals and remaining competitive. Later on in the course, I'm going to talk about a software program I've been using called Discount Dealer Center that will allow you to wire transfer all of your paperwork to the customer, and they can get a loan, and the transaction can take place in the cloud but that's going to allow you to maintain your on-site sales activity, which we're going to talk about here in just a little bit. So that's discountdealercenter.com. I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. Another thing every dealer needs to be aware of is that stricter regulatory oversight. And I'm sure that you're aware of this, but state and federal agencies are really tightening their regulations on used motor vehicle sales, especially regarding consumer disclosures, emission compliances, and warranty practices. So all dealers need to stay updated on these laws, and I'm hopefully going to help you be able to do that with this course. So you definitely want to be aware of that. Compliance is no longer like a formality legally, it's just a necessity. And any non-compliance can really result in severe penalties and lost consumer trust. So like I said, I'm going to do my very best to show you these new laws that are now in effect that were not in effect last year. So I'll go over those here in a little bit. Another trend we're seeing, vehicle reconditioning can be a huge profit center for your dealership. Reconditioning has really evolved from like something that costs a dealer to something that can really drive revenue. Dealers are now investing in reconditioning facilities, including doing your own detailing, obviously, but you can do paint correction, minor mechanical repair, and you are able to increase value and speed up the time to market. So, with online reviews and third-party inspections really growing, high quality recondition really improves consumer confidence and justifies premium pricing of your vehicles. So, if you can do a little bit of paint, mechanical repair on site, you're probably already aware of this, but the growth of this is really dramatically increasing. So that's something I want you to be aware of. I think it's important for all dealers to know of a new revenue model, which is subscription or alternative ownership models. This may or may not affect you, but I think that any forward-thinking dealership in the state can definitely see the future of this. Car subscription services and short-term lease models are really challenging traditional ownership that we've seen in the past, especially among younger consumers that don't want to invest in the full purchase price of owning a vehicle. While this can pose a threat to conventional dealer sales, it also, in my opinion, creates opportunities for forward-thinking dealers to diversify their offerings. And some dealers are experimenting with in-house subscription programs or partnerships with fleet services to monetize your inventory through flexible access models. There's a lot of companies out there that can help you now basically rent your vehicles short term. So if you got a few vehicles that you want to keep off to the side of the lot or something, this could be a revenue pattern, especially if you're in a medium to large size city. Used car shortages and supply demand is still happening. We're still seeing the post-pandemic effect on production delays, and there's been some strikes that have continued to impact used car dealer supplies as well. So you're probably aware of this. If you are in the dealer auctions, you're facing some stiff competition, and I always recommend exploring alternative sourcing methods like those consumer trade-ins. If you are not offering to buy customers' vehicles in your area that don't even trade a vehicle in, I think you're missing out on something. So, a big part of your operations needs to be the buy, buy, sell, and trade. But I think, becoming more aggressive and buying vehicles directly from individuals is a way that you can bypass these auction spikes. So that's something to keep in mind. And, building strong wholesale and trading programs is really essential to maintaining your inventory levels and profitability right now. It's very important for all dealers to focus on financing flexibility. With interest rates still remaining fairly high and consumer debt levels are constantly increasing, financing flexibility is really critical. When you're looking at buy here, pay here models, subprime lending, financial partnerships with these companies are really on the rise, and offering a tailored payment plan is really going to help you with faster approval. So any dealer who embraces flexible financing solutions, you're going to be better positioned to serve a much wider range of buyers and close deals in a much tighter lending environment. Once again, if you go to discountdealercenter.com, we've got a partnership with that program. You can start buy here, pay here dealership, or you can get any type of third-party financing. Discountdealercenter.com. If you're not using a really good dealer management system to assist you with financing, then I feel like you're really, really missing out. Something else I want you to be aware of is the integration of vehicle history reports and telematics data. So Obviously, access to detailed vehicle history and real-time data is becoming standard practice for all used motor vehicle dealers. Your customers expect full transparency, and use a dealer that incorporates any type of data from sources like Carfax, AutoCheck, onboard diagnostics. You're going to offer a much trustworthy experience, and even leveraging, sometimes there are some dealers that are leveraging real-time GPS and driving behavior with consent from the customer to verify vehicle usage. We're seeing a lot of insurance companies doing this, and you're actually seeing some used motor vehicle dealers do this as well. Next, I also think every dealer in the state should be aware of these dealership statistics. So before I give you this overview of dealer statistics, I always show you how to contact your lawmaker, or whenever you're discussing anything with a lawmaker, these statistics should be part of that conversation. Whenever you're talking to a lawmaker, let them know that you are a voter in their district, and let every lawmaker know the financial impact that licensed New Mexican motor vehicles dealers have not only on the state's economy, but on the nationwide economy as well. The auto industry is important to the New Mexican economy, and the United States economy is undisputed, from providing employment across the United States to millions of people, to being a major driver of the economy's manufacturing sector. It really has been a long centerpiece of the American economy. So emerging automotive trends are caused by several significant changes in the habits of consumers. And in the United States, automobile dealerships and auto parts stores make up 20% of the United States retail sales. 20% of the United States retail sales. And that is by far the largest sector of the total U.S. retail sales economy. Last year, the automobile dealer industry in the United States employed 4.1 million people and contributed $562 billion to the country's gross domestic product. That's 2.5% of the country's gross domestic product. That needs to be part of your conversation with any lawmaker. Under the North American Free Trade Agreement, 75% or more of all components of cars must be manufactured in the U.S., Canada, or Mexico. And currently, vehicles assembled in the United States are made with about 40 to 50% of imported parts. And of the auto workers building those cars, right now the law is very clear. 30% or more must earn at least $16 an hour, and that is increasing, and it will continue to increase those hourly wages. So the manufacture and sale of motor vehicles are a huge economic driver for the entire United States economy. Also, on a side note, the self-driving truck market is anticipated to be over $1.6 billion by the end of the decade, and you're seeing a lot of self-driving trucks over in Arizona right now, and this could be a market sector for you to concentrate on. About 50% of small businesses say that they will invest in truck fleets that are completely self-driving in the next 20 years, and we might even see 35% of them in self-driving trucks in the next 10 years. So this could be a sector that you want to definitely explore. We are a very large generator of sales tax revenue for the state as well. Let your lawmakers know. When you sell a vehicle, your customer is required to pay that motor vehicle excise tax. So the more vehicles you sell, the more money the state makes in motor vehicle sales tax revenue. Please share that information with any lawmaker that you might ever have a discussion with. Next, I want to cover the latest law revisions out of Santa Fe, and then I'm going to give you a real quick overview to show you how to renew your dealer license correctly. First of all, I want to cover the most recent updates, current New Mexico laws that have changes that are going to affect dealers throughout the state. And as a reminder, because we discuss the laws coming out of Santa Fe every year, I want to give you that overview. It has to be passed out by a House committee. They call that voting out. They vote the House bill out, then it goes to the House floor. They debate it. Maybe they add some amendments and things. They vote on that. If it passes the House, it gets assigned to a Senate committee. And a lot of times House bills don't get assigned to Senate committees, but once it's assigned to a Senate committee, then they will hammer out the details. And if it passes a Senate committee, it goes to the Senate floor debate. If it goes through the Senate without any changes, then it goes to the governor's desk for her decision on whether or not to sign that. But that's not normally what happens. Normally, senators will amend those House bills and have to go back to the House. And if it goes unamended again, then it goes to the governor's desk. But sometimes our state representatives will tweak it a little bit and send it back to the Senate. So it is a very long democratic process. And if there's a Senate bill, the same thing goes through. But, this democratic process ensures that really bad bills, hopefully, never get to the governor's desk, although some of those bad bills do get to the governor's desk, unfortunately. But as I've said, if you have taken our course before, first of all, I really do appreciate your repeat business. But if this is your first time taking our continuing education course, you will need to be aware that all of your retail sales activity will need to take place only at your licensed location. So to give you a quick overview, the New Mexico legislative session usually convenes in January, and any bills signed by the governor are chaptered and usually become law on June 16th unless another day is specified. Any legislation that was not signed or vetoed by the governor was pocket vetoed, and that means the bill has died and will not become New Mexican law. So I think an important component of any dealer continuing education course is to go over new laws, and I want to cover the most recent laws that have been signed by the governor, and these are now state law. I want you to be aware these are now state laws. Some of them may affect the operation of your dealership, and some of them may affect you outside the dealership. So let's go ahead and take a look at the brand new laws. There's a lot of changes now that we are getting ready to discuss. First, let's talk about House Bill 66. They've changed the workers' compensation law. House Bill 66 was signed into law, and it introduces significant amendments to the state's Workers' Compensation Act. And these are poised to impact various employers, including you as a licensed motor vehicle dealer. And they're going to alter financial responsibilities related to workers' compensation claims. So employers are now required to advance higher amounts in discovery costs if you have a workers' compensation case. So if you do have a workers' compensation case, then you will actually have to pay a little bit more in discovery costs than you had to in the past, unfortunately. It's also raised attorney cap fees. So that's been implemented as well. So how's this going to affect you? Used motor vehicle dealers in New Mexico, like other employers, are directly affected by House Bill 66 provisions. You could have an increased financial responsibility during a workers' compensation case. So there's an elevated discovery cost, and it does elevate the attorney cap fees. That means that dealers may face higher expenses when handling workers' compensation claims. So this is something you definitely want to talk to your insurance agent about. It's particularly important for small and medium-sized dealerships where such costs can significantly impact your operating budget during a workers' compensation claim. House Bill 99, non-repairable vehicle certificates. House Bill 99 has been signed into law, and it overhauls the state's process for handling non-repairable vehicles and those that are deemed beyond repair due to severe damage. This aims to prevent fraud, enhance title clarity, ensure that such vehicles are not legally returned to the road. Non-repairable vehicles are declared a total loss by insurance companies must be designated as non-repairable. And this designation can be indicated by stamping the title with the word non-repairable. Now, once a vehicle receives a non-repairable certificate, it can never be titled or registered for use on any New Mexico highway. And this measure ensures that vehicles deemed unsafe are not returned to public roads. It also permits electronic signatures for transferring vehicle ownership to insurance companies after a total loss. However, certain documents such as powers of attorney and odometer statements are still probably going to require traditional signatures. By implementing these measures, used motor vehicle dealers can maintain compliance with House Bill 99, protect consumers, and uphold the integrity of the vehicle resale market in New Mexico. Now, I'm going to go in depth into the new law and also certificates of title and repairable and non-repairable titles here in just a few moments. New Mexico Senate Bill 287, known as the Recreational Vehicle Manufacturer and Dealer Act, introduces significant changes to the regulation of RV dealerships in the state. Now, while primarily targeting new RV sales, certain provisions could influence the operation of used motor vehicle dealerships as well, especially if you are dealing with used RVs. So Senate Bill 287 specifically governs the relationship between manufacturers and dealers of recreational vehicles. It mandates formal manufacturer-to-dealer agreements and outlines terminations for cancellation. Now, it's tailored for new transactions, but used motor vehicle dealers in New Mexico should consider that dealerships acquiring used RVs from trade-ins or auctions should be aware of any outstanding recalls or any warranty issues on that used RV. And it also emphasizes manufacturer-to-dealer responsibilities, including and enhance protection for new RV buyers, and it may elevate consumer expectations as well. So you just always want to be transparent with any vehicle, but now especially if there's any type of recall issues with a used RV. Used RV dealers might voluntarily align certain practices with this new law to build customer trust. So Senate Bill 287 primarily affects new RV dealerships by formalizing dealer to manufacturer relationships, but used motor vehicle dealers, while not directly regulated by this new law, should definitely stay informed about its provisions, as it may directly influence industry norms and consumer expectations within New Mexico's recreational vehicle market. Please keep that in mind. New Mexico has passed House Bill 368, which changes how businesses qualify for what's known as the High Wage Jobs Tax Credit. This tax credit helps businesses save money if they create what are known as good-paying jobs. But now the rules are a little bit stricter. So this is called a threshold job. So what is a threshold job? To get the tax credit, businesses must create what's called a threshold job, which pays at least $40,000 a year. The employee must work there for at least 44 weeks, and the job must increase the total number of high-wage jobs at that location and not just replace an old one. So what are dealerships going to need to do to possibly qualify for this credit? You would need to hire more people and grow your team. You would need to pay higher wages to meet that threshold and keep employees almost a full year. So you want to make sure and check the rules carefully. The bottom line is the new law makes it a little bit harder for small dealers, small businesses such as a used motor vehicle dealership to get a tax credit unless they grow and pay higher wages. But for any dealership that can meet those rules, the tax savings could definitely be worth it. House Bill 218 has been signed into law, and it does introduce significant changes to the state's tax code, definitely with implications for used motor vehicle dealerships. While the bill primarily aims to streamline tax and administration and promote manufacturing, certain provisions directly affect vehicle dealers and their operations as well. So it expanded the clean car tax credit for used vehicles. So the law establishes a refundable income tax credit for the purchase or lease of electric vehicles, plug-in hybrid vehicles, or fuel cell vehicles. Used vehicles are eligible if they meet specific criteria. The vehicle's market value does not exceed $25,000. It's certified by the dealer selling the motor vehicle. It carries a dealer-provided warranty of at least 1 year against defects and repairs. And these credits are transferable, allowing immediate price relief for buyers and potentially increasing sales volumes for dealers. So now this bill also gives tax deductions for manufacturing equipment. So if your business is engaged in manufacturing, it allows you to deduce receipts from the sale and lease of qualified manufacturing equipment from your gross receipts. Now, while this provision primarily targets manufacturers, a used motor vehicle dealership such as yourself that might engage in manufacturing activities such as refurbishing vehicles or customizing vehicles, you might be able to benefit from these deductions as well. And finally, I want to talk about House Bill 218 will simplify the tax administration, and it will also update and streamline the tax code for dealerships. This could be a more straightforward filing process and potentially reduce your compliance costs. So in summary, House Bill 218 presents opportunities for used motor vehicle dealerships to enhance sales through clean car tax credits and potentially reduce operating costs via tax deductions by any manufacturing operations that you're doing. So I really feel like adapting to these changes that you as a dealer can position yourself for success in the future. Now, finally, Senate Bill 36, formerly known as the Sensitive Personal Information Non-Disclosure Act, is designed to enhance privacy protections for individuals. And this is pretty much common sense here, but you're not going to be able to disclose somebody's social security number or financial records, biometric data. This law just basically requires businesses to adopt stronger safeguards to ensure that your customer-sensitive personal information is never disclosed. It is pretty much common sense. You want to make sure you're never leaving like a loan application on the desk for the next customer to see. You want to make sure and secure all your documentation, and you do need to notify the state in the event of any type of data breach. So do please keep that in mind. Senate Bill 36 does represent a significant shift in how personal data is handled by New Mexico dealers, and just this law necessitates updated data handling procedures, and just you need to make a commitment to consumer privacy. Always, please do keep that in mind. Just as I stated last year, if you took the course again, this is House Bill 62, which was introduced by Representative Ream year after year and has been signed for the governor. It has been a law for over a year now, but it's very, very important every dealer knows this. And I want to read the text from the law. A New Mexico licensed dealer shall not sell a vehicle or offer a motor vehicle for sale at a location other than the licensed dealer's established place of business. I want to repeat that. A New Mexico licensed dealer shall not sell a vehicle or offer a motor vehicle for sale at a location other than the licensed dealer's established place of business. I want you to be aware the MVD has been very clear with me to instruct you that all retail sales activity must take place at your licensed location only. So if you're located in Albuquerque and you have a customer from Santa Fe that contacts you and asks you to meet them in a parking lot in Bernalillo to sell them a vehicle or show them a vehicle, that's off-site retail sales activity and it is never allowed. So be sure all of your retail sales activity takes place only at your licensed location. This is now finally written into state law. So make sure you don't ever show your vehicles at non-licensed locations. I also want to give you a real quick overview of House Bill 20, which is now completely in effect. This law requires private employers, such as the dealer in the state of New Mexico, with at least one employee to provide paid sick leave to employees. This also includes part-time, seasonal, and temporary workers. So you must provide 1 hour for every 30 hours worked. I want to repeat that. It's very important for every dealer in the state to know about this new law. You must provide 1 hour of sick leave for every 30 hours your employee has worked. There's no waiting period on this. An employee that you hired to work at your dealership must begin accruing hours on the day they were hired. As I stated, there is no waiting period. So in the past, a business might give up to a 60-day window before starting to pay sick time. There's no window anymore. You have to start allowing that employee to accrue time on the day they start. You are allowed, however, to do what's known as front loading. You can front load that sick time by giving your employees, say, for example, 64 hours of sick time on January 1st of every year. Sometimes we do have employees that will front load in sick time. Now, if you already have a sick time policy in your dealership that meets these standards, then obviously this law will not affect the way you run your dealership. But if you have employees and you're not providing sick time, you must provide at least 1 hour of sick time for every 30 hours work. So make sure you're complying with this new law. It is now completely in effect. Senate Bill 437 is now completely in effect as well. The state minimum wage is now fully implemented under Senate Bill 437, and it's now $12 an hour statewide. Some cities may have a higher minimum wage. Some cities do have a higher minimum wage. So you can always check the New Mexico Department of Workforce Solutions for current minimum wage guidelines throughout the state. And I'm going to show you how to do that here in a little bit. You always want to make sure you are paying the correct minimum wage. On this issue right here, the Motor Vehicle Division has reached out to me to ensure the information regarding the difference between a New Mexico salvage title and a salvage certificate is included in your Mexico Dealer Continuing Education course. There is a big difference between these titles, and it's very important for you as a licensed New Mexican motor vehicle dealer to know the difference between them. Dealers must verify the type of documentation associated with salvage titles before completing a purchase to resell in their inventory. Specifically, it's crucial to distinguish between a salvage title and a salvage certificate, as a salvage certificate does not allow for any type of registration in the state of New Mexico per state law. So here are some key regulations that you want to keep in mind. Any vehicle transferred with an original title branded as salvage must retain that brand on all subsequent titles. Now, some states issue what's known as a reconditioned title, which is the equivalent to our state's salvage title and is negotiable for transfer in the state of New Mexico with the required branding. However, salvage certificates are not eligible for title issuance in New Mexico because a vehicle with this designation is deemed unfit or unsafe to be operated or moved upon the highway. It is very important to know the key differences between a salvage title and a salvage certificate. A salvage title identifies a vehicle's branding and history, but does allow for the possibility of registration after meeting specific requirements. A salvage certificate identifies a vehicle that may not be operated on public roadways and cannot be titled in the state of New Mexico. Conversion to a salvage title. Some states allow salvage certificates to be converted to salvage titles after a safety inspection and VIN verification. However, New Mexico does not have a certified safety inspection station program, making this conversion process unavailable within the state. Additionally, New Mexico MVD may issue a non-repairable vehicle certificate, which permanently prevents the vehicle from being registered for road use. These vehicles may only be sold to a licensed dismantler. So what's your responsibility? Before purchasing a salvage vehicle, dealers must verify whether it has a salvage title or a salvage certificate to avoid complications with title issuance and registration in the state of New Mexico. This due diligence ensures compliance with state laws and helps prevent delays or unexpected issues in processing vehicle transactions. So please do keep that in mind. Next, I want to show you how to visit the governor's website so you can view the latest bills that have been signed into law. So that website's going to be governor.state.nm.us. Once again, governor.state.nm.us. And there on the home page, you're going to see the governor's website. You can always hover your mouse over to the top right there and click on signed legislation. And right there, you can see all the legislation that's been signed. You'll easily be able to view all the bills that were not only passed by the legislature, but were in fact signed by the governor, which means they have either become law or they're getting ready to become law very shortly. And this is a great way to keep up on brand new laws. And by the way, I'll always do my best to update this course every time a new law goes into effect. And I want to do my very, very best in helping you maintain compliance. I also want you to be aware you can contact the governor at any time by clicking on the contact link and then click on the little drop-down box there. I have actually used this link on more than one occasion to contact the governor, and the governor's office has responded to every message that I have ever sent. And the emails that are returned have the governor's signature, so maybe she was the one that read it. I hope that maybe she was, or maybe she had staff return that, but I always think that's pretty cool when you contact the state's highest elected official and you always get a response from the governor. So I hope this information is helpful for you. In the next unit, I'm going to give you a very quick review on how to renew your dealer license correctly.